There are many ways in C that you can deal with files. What you end up doing with C and files depends on the problem you are trying to solve. In this video here, I'm going to walk you through a couple of different examples of how we can manipulate files. Choosing the right way to manipulate these is up to you as you're designing and implementing your C programs. Most things that you will do can be done with any one of these solutions. However, there are better solutions for different problems. So let's take a look at one example here. This is an example essentially of using fscanf. So fscanf allows us to scan a file or scan from a file pointer and obtain information from that file. So here we see fscanf. We have a file pointer that has been opened. We're going to read a string, and an integer from that. String 1, string 2, string 3, and a year. We can read those in, print them out. So this line here will allow us to read from a file that has been opened with the fopen command. Now in this particular example, the fopen command is being written or set up in write mode, so it's going to write to the file. When we do a rewind on it, we'll go back to the beginning of the file and we'll be able to access it reading through. The important thing to pay attention to is not really this part here, but fscanf starting at the beginning of a file allows you to read in certain things. If this line here and here did not exist in this demo and we just had the fopen, then you would be able to simply scan from a file. This would probably be set up with an R, where R is the read property for the file. You can take a look at the information on this by looking at the man page. So fopen, we have a path name and we have a mode that's passed in. So the path name is where the file is, the file name, that type of thing. And then we have reading, writing, appending, all of the same things that you could do with your files in Java. So this is one example using fscanf. Here is a slightly different example. In this scenario here, again, we are writing to a file and we're doing an fprintf. So we're seeing what happens if you want to print to a file. Again, we're opening that file for writing, test.txt, writing it. But notice the file has to be closed. That's true of everything with C. When you're done with the file, you need to close it. Both of these examples, you'll notice that we have the type called a file pointer. That file pointer is returned by fopen. If we again look at the man page for it, the return from this opens a file and we end up with a file pointer structure, which is a pointer that can be used to reference things about a file. So those are two examples here. Example 1, example 3. Another example that I have here, oops, actually that was one that I showed already. Example 3, this is where the example that we showed with the malloc demonstration earlier in the term. So here we used a simple open command where we open the argument, where the argument happens to be the information of where the file is, the path to the file. We're opening it in read-only mode, and we got back an integer file descriptor. Slightly different way. And then here we call the native read on it, where read is essentially the lower level OS system call. This approach also works for working with files to read, and there is an equivalent for writing where we would cause it to write. Again, you can look at the information on these with the man page. Whoops, that's going to show you open. Reads from a given file descriptor. We can see how this all behaves. Okay, so that is that example. Now, the fourth example here that I'm going to show you is again dealing with fopen. So we are getting, again, this file pointer structure back. And what we're doing with that is we're going to call fgetC. fgetC reads a single character from the file stream. So you could think about this as being the equivalent of a getChar call in Java, where you're going to get the next character out of your stream. So we assign that. What will happen with this is we can keep reading until we reach an end of file condition, which is designated by this FEOF. This will indicate that we are at the end of the file. We've read all the way through it. There's no more to be read. We would abort out of our loop. Each character gets read individually, and we can process these accordingly. So again, here we've got a file pointer, fopen, and again at the bottom, fclose. So these really have shown you some examples of file pointers. Which approach you want to use is up to you. Whether you want to use the native reading of file pointers, like we have right here, or whether you want to use a higher level capability in the fgetS type of behavior where you're going to get from the user. All of them are available. All of them are useful. They generally all are documented in the C material for the class. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close.